Welcome back to another video on Epsilon for Sports. And this weekend we have a lot of wrestling pay-per-views. We got TNA Under Siege on Friday. We got Saturday, WWE Saturday Night's Main Event on Saturday, and then on Sunday you got NXT Battleground, and you got AEW Double or Nothing. I will be tuning into all those events. I will have videos for all of those events and whatnot. But to get into what we're really here to talk about, as y'all see the title, y'all see the thumbnail, we're here to talk about NXT Battleground. Y'all don't know the match order, but I'm just going the order that I had these matches wrote down. And I think the story I'm most looking forward to is the Obafemi versus Miles Bourne match. I think the way that we got here was really good with the Battle Royal to determine the #1 contender. You had Miles Bourne win, which nobody expected. I like that. I like us getting surprises. I resonate with Miles Bourne because we both have a lips, so I guess we relate in that way. But Miles Bourne is great. His match with Ethan Page was really good. He looked good in the ring. It's showing that he can hang with some of the top guys, hang with a former NXT champion. Now, a lot of people think it's just going to be an easy win for Obafemi. Now, I do have Obafemi winning, but I think Miles Bourne is going to give him a fight. I don't think it's going to be nothing easy. This could be one of Oba's tougher matches, and I do see a world where Miles Bourne could win. I don't know if they'll put a trigger on that. But I think the segment they had on NXT this week was really good. They both had some good talking points. So I think Obafemi will retain, but it's a match that I'm excited for. I can even go back to some of my notes and bring up some of those talking points. With Obafemi saying that he can tell him Miles Bourne that he won't get the happy ending. I mean, maybe they plan to that, maybe they don't. And then Miles Bourne talks about how he's been surviving battles all his life. So we'll see what happens. Then you had the LFG guy attack Obafemi, and Miles Bourne tried to help him, but Obafemi didn't take his help. So I don't know if they'll plan to that more, or if the LFG, forgive me because I don't remember his name, but maybe he comes out there and attack him again after the match or during the match or something like that. I mean, him helping Miles Bourne wouldn't make sense, but I do see Obafemi retaining. But I'm excited for this match. I think it's going to be a fun match. It might be the main event. Either that or the other match that's on here. Nah, that's not the main event. It won't be. Unless they could start the show with this match. But as you see, my fan is on because it's hot during this time of year. But next, Stephanie Valkyrie defending the NXT Women's Championship against Jordynne Grace. This one I feel like it's one of the easier ones to predict. I think not only do I think Jordynne Grace is winning, I think she needs to win. Because with her being in NXT, you're kind of holding her back already. Because I feel like she could be great in the SmackDown mid-card right now for the women's division. But Jordynne Grace has to win this now. And Stephanie has to move up to the main roster. I think she's already main roster ready. She said that she wanted to be on NXT so she can improve her English. And I think her English has improved. I think it's really improved since she's been there. I think it's time for her to be on the main roster now. She's had good showings there. She even had a match against Ivy Now, which was a good match. So I think her being on SmackDown or Raw, wherever she goes, she'll be fine. But I think it's time for her to drop that title now. And Jordynne Grace, for her to get the win. There's some cool stuff you could potentially do with Jordynne Grace. There's some cool matches you could potentially have. I know Lola Vice is going after the title. I'd be interested in that. Now, I don't think Lola Vice will win, but I would be intrigued in the match just because it's something new that we haven't seen before. Like when they had Jada Parker in the main event picture, it was something new, something they weren't doing. So I wouldn't be mad at Lola Vice being next in line. Somebody like a Fallon Henley, I don't really know about because she has lost the North American title and she isn't getting back to that likely. So her being in the main event seems to be kind of weird to me. If they built her up and gave her some momentum, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But yeah, I think Jordynne Grace got to win this weekend. And I'm gonna save the match that I think is gonna be the main event for the end. You have 2 non-title matches on the card. You have 4 title matches. One of those non-title matches is Tony D'Angelo versus Shannon Stacks Lorenzo. So I think this match should have had a stipulation on it. It should have been like a street fight or a steel cage match or something. Maybe not steel cage because Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest are doing that. But a street fight would have been fine. A tables match, something like that. Because I feel like this is a blood feud. Even though I might not feel like it compared to other blood feuds we've seen, this is family. Not just the name of the group, them being a family, but they actually are a family, like in the storyline. like they had a really close relationship with each other. It was like they were brothers. So it should be something more personal and some like I think the story is fine. Now Stacks needs to win because Tony D, they both won the tag team titles before, but Tony D has more individual accolades. He's won the North American title before and was a good North American champion. So I think Stacks needs this win to propel him in the mid-card division to help him get over. I don't think Tony D'Angelo needs to win. It's going to be a good match. It should have some great near falls, but I think Stacks has to get the win in the end, because if you want this heel turn to pan out and for it to be good, because it's been good so far, but the payoff has to be him getting the win here. So then next, Josh Briggs is teaming up with Hank and Tate to take on the Cullen. So I guess Anna Moore is in Japan now. I don't know if that's a storyline or if that's real, but just Hank and Tank versus and Josh Briggs teaming up to take on the Cullen. I mean, Dark State pinned Hank and Tank and didn't even get a tag team title shot, so I felt like that was kind of stupid. So I don't think Hank and Tank need to be losing again. Even though Sean Spears, he did have some momentum at one point, I don't think it's like the Cullen. They have to lose this match. I got Hank and Tank, they the tag team champions. Obviously, Briggs don't really have anything for them to do. I think they should win this match. Now, I wouldn't be opposed. Now, if the Cullen win and they get a tag team title shot, then it's fine. But you can't justify that because the same thing happened with Dark State, and they didn't get anything off of that. So I think Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs need to win this match. This match could be on the pre-show, and I don't know if it will be. It's no problem with it being on the main card because there's other matches, so you can just stick it in the middle of the show and it'll be fine. But it'll be a decent match. It won't be nothing spectacular or anything like that. It won't be something classic, but it can definitely be solid. Then you have Sol Ruka defending the Women's North American Championship against Kalani Jordan. This match is the one I'm least excited for because Kalani Jordan pinned Roxanne Perez to qualify for the Women's North American Championship ladder match at Stand and Deliver. If you're pinning Roxanne Perez, a two-time NXT Women's Champion, you should be going after the main championship. You should be going after the NXT Women's Championship. She shouldn't be stuck in mid-card purgatory. She should not be in the mid-card anymore. If you don't want to call her up, cool. I'm not begging for her to get called up, but at least put her in a bigger light. At least put her in the main event picture in NXT. Like her being a opponent for Jordan Grace, if she potentially win, I think people would love that because she deserves that. She had a good reign being the first ever Women's North American Champion. Like, there's no need for her to double back on that. Ever since she lost the title, she's been losing consistently. She has like 2 or 3 wins since that. She pinned Zarya to get to this match, but she's just gonna lose to Sol Ruka unless Zarya interferes and makes Sol Ruka lose, like the same way that Sol Ruka made her lose to get to this point. But it's no need for her to become a 2-time NXT Women's North American Champion. Sol Ruka should win and retain the title, and I like both Sol Ruka and Kalani Jordan, but this match, so usually it's hard for me to pick between 2 of my favorites, but in this match, Sol Ruka has to win. It just makes the most sense. Kalani Jordan should be in the main event scene right now for the NXT Women's Division. And for the final match, which I think this should be the main event for Battleground, which is Joe Hendry defending the TNA title versus Trick Williams. The first time a TNA championship is being defended on an NXT pay-per-view. So I think some people might disagree, some people might agree, but when you have a partnership with a company, you have to be able to put egos aside. You have to have championships change hands, because what's the point of the partnership if championships can't change hands? It doesn't make anybody look weak. It doesn't do anything like that. You're talking about 2 very talented guys. Trick is a 2-time NXT world champion. Joe has won the TNA World Championship and been having a good run so far since he's won it back in January. I think he's been champion officially for 4 months now because he won in January 19th. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he's been the champion for 4 months now. And he's been having a good reign with the title. But you had plenty of you had plenty of great matches between both companies of them defending titles and the same company keeping it, like TNA keeping their titles, NXT keeping their titles. I think this is the time that you pull the trigger on letting another star from the other company win the title. And obviously people like to make appearances all the time. In AEW, Jon Moxley went over to New Japan Pro and became the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. And he wasn't the champion super long. He had a good reign with the title too. Trick Williams should beat Joe Hendry. I am predicting him to win. I do think Trick Williams will win. I think it's the best. Joe Hendry was the last one standing tall, which sometimes it doesn't always mean that that person will lose. But I think it makes the most sense for Trick Williams to win here. And he doesn't have to keep the title long. But Trick Williams, Hollywood Trick, I like this gimmick. He can walk around the TNA, walk around the NXT like I did something nobody else could ever do. I brought a TNA championship to WWE. And then eventually when he's on the main roster with Carmelo, he can bring that up. I did something you never did. So you can't look at me as a sidekick when we're together. You got to look at me as equals if they do end up doing something on the main roster together, which I believe they will do. And Trick could be the champion for 2 or 3 months. But he can have it for the same time that Joe did. Joe had a 4-month reign. Maybe Trick keeps it for 4 months and then he loses it to Joe and Joe gets a longer reign with the title. Or if y'all been keeping up with TNA, you know where I'm going with this. Or Elijah is the one that beat Trick Williams for the title, and that's how Joe ends up getting it back. Because Elijah's been going after that title too. He just isn't making it obvious, but if Trick wins it, then Elijah should be like, I'm going after the title now. And then Joe could get mad because Elijah said that was never his intention when he came to TNA to get the title. He just waited till it was off of him. Then that's how you build a program with them two. You could do multiple things with this angle. Like you have Trick defending on NXT, defending on TNA. But he should only lose it to either Joe if they do a rematch, which they probably would, or Elijah if you play into that story more. Because I think that story with Elijah and Joe, they're going to do something with that in the future. So I think they need to continue that into like down the line, like in August, September. Yeah, don't forget about that. With like TNA fans, we're not going to forget about that. So you can even do a triple threat with them three. Like there's multiple routes you could go with Trick Williams winning. Obviously, if Joe wins, I get why they do it because you want to keep him protected. But at the end of the day, it's wrestling. People have to take pins. You have to build up. If you want to make this partnership as good as it can be, have Trick Williams win and see what he can do. If you don't like it, after a month or two, take the title off of him. But Trick had 2 good runs as NXT champion. So I would trust Trick with the TNA World Championship. I think he's big enough for that spotlight to be doing work in 2 different companies. I've seen people lesser than Trick Williams work in both companies. So I know Trick can definitely do it in perfection and do it a lot better than some of those other people did. So Trick Williams is who I have winning at NXT Battleground this weekend. I think him and Joe are both great, and I've liked their rivalry so far. It's been really good. I think it's been helping the partnership between WWE and TNA. But those are my predictions for NXT Battleground. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, comment who you have winning some of the matches this weekend. And one last thing, I think Battleground will be a great show, and the Battleground is what I'm expecting it to be. NXT officially becomes the A show, and I will have a video about that coming soon. Peace out.